Well, welcome Lisa Smith-Batchen to Running Strong Mind Body Connection podcast. I am thrilled to have you here. You're a tough woman to get a hold of, but hey, I know you're busy. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for being part of my podcast.
Karen, thank you so much for having me. And yes, I'm busy like the rest of us, like you too. And here we are today. And we always say if it's important enough to you, you'll figure it out.
Yep.
And being here with you today is important to me. So thank you.
So tell our guests where are you from? Where are you at right now? Where do you live?
I live in Jackson, Wyoming, Jackson Hole,
Jackson.
Wyoming. You can say Jackson or Jackson Hole, Wyoming. It's all the same place in the Grand Tetons.
Nice.
Very special place.
Yeah. And how long have you lived there?
We have lived here on and off between Idaho and Wyoming for almost 25 years.
Nice. Beautiful. So, would you share? There's got to be, I'm going to guess a lot of people are going to know who you are. But, anyways, share a little bit about yourself. Who are you?
Well, I think there's a lot of people who wouldn't know who I am. I mean, that's for sure. As the world turns and as we're all evolving.
Yeah.
Um, you know what? You asked me to be here because you put on a podcast with endurance athletes, and I'm an endurance athlete. Will be 65 this September.
Yay.
I love sports and athletics of all kinds. I have two children and an amazing husband, Jay Batchen. And I met you through your amazing husband, too.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's what I do.
So, well, you're a pretty profound coach out there because there's a couple people I'm running along the Route 6, yeah, the Route 66 140. That was my first time doing something like that. I was just so enthralled with the idea of running. And people, I've said this before, just running on Route 66. It was just such an epic experience. And I ran with Ty for a long time, and he told me he was coaching with you, and he was on my episode number 22. And then Tara, I know I passed her, but I watched her finish and come to find out you were coaching her as well. So and she's episode 27 for me. So that's pretty inspiring. Where did your career start of becoming a runner, an ultra runner?
Boy, that's a good question. When I was in high school, I did not make our cross country or track team. I was told I was too slow and I had asthma. So I
Oh,
kind of just decided I was no good at running, although I loved running. So I went on for years and years and years and didn't run at all and discovered running again my last year of college, that I was actually still loved it and I wasn't so bad at it at all. I did a 5K turkey trot race and I happened to win the 5K and I won a 20-pound turkey. And I went home for Thanksgiving and I said, Mom, I don't suck after all. Look, I won a 20-pound turkey. So I tell people kind of like my running um, sort of like evolved into starting with a 20-pound turkey. Um, and then I went from the 5K to the 10K. I didn't do the normal route, which I encourage most people to do that I work with or anybody. I went straight from a marathon to doing Badwater, which was my first ultra marathon. Sucked in, talked into it by Marshall Ulrich, who is the race director of um, the
Yes,
Route One, on 66,
66,
Route
yeah.
66. But I met him. I was on an eco challenge adventure racing team called Stray Dogs with Marshall Ulrich, Mark Macy, Bob Haw, um, some people who I just love, love, love. That was 1995. And Marshall Ulrich says to me, Lisa, you ought to do a Badwater. And I said, well, what's Badwater? And he told me what it was. And I just said, there's no way anybody runs more than a marathon. Like I've never heard of of anything over a marathon. Um, Needless to say, 2 months later, I was at the starting line of the Badwater 135 in 1995. And that's where my love for true endurance, for what I consider for myself endurance, started.
Wow. Did Marshall crew you?
No, Marshall was in the race as well. And I asked him, like, how do you train for something like this? I mean, you have to realize in 1995, there wasn't like, oh, go read the website about all the information, that you're going to get in
Right.
the course description. It was, you know, he said, put on a few extra clothes and run a few extra miles with your training. Little did I really know the extreme heat that I was getting into. But, you have to know Marshall to know what he's actually done in his own career to make it seem so simple that, I loved that he made it seem so simple and that it wouldn't be like, oh, you can definitely do this. It won't be that hard. But boy, I tell you, when I pulled up to Stovepipe Wells in with a van and got out, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, what? And then, every twist and turn and how difficult the course was, I was cussing Marshall Ulrich out many times of how I got into this. But I also, the wisdom gained and the love for being on my feet in the like resilient terrain that it
Right.
was really life altering, life changing, and very magical for me. So
Wow.
I thank him over and over again all the time for, believing that I could do something like that.
Sure. Doesn't that work that way? I know for me, I my clients, and I'm sure for you and your clients, we see a potential in them they don't see in themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it's amazing. And I fell in love with it and I still love it.
How many times have you finished Badwater?
I finished 11, but I only get 10 official. So, yep, I get 10 official. One was did not finish a DNF. Um, but I don't call things DNFs.
I don't either.
I have a different name for that.
What's your name?
I call it MTRC,
M
made the right choice. Made the right
Oh,
choice, make the right choice. There are times where you're not able to finish something, or you shouldn't finish something, or it's life threatening and you have to make a choice. It's not
right,
that you're, did not finish means that you suck. Like it doesn't work that way in my world.
right,
There's absolutely things that we start that we're not able to finish.
right. I think Ultra Sign Up should put that on our Ultra Sign Up page.
Oh boy. Well, you really have to think about it. I mean, you feel like DNF sounds like you're a loser, right?
But we interpret that as a loser too. We interpret
Yeah,
that,
but you're
and
not.
then
You're a winner. You
ex-
started. You
exactly, you
you
did the
you
training and you got there.
you did the train. I don't really think many people start events. Sure, I'm going to enter this 100 to do a 50-mile training run and then I'm going to stop at 50, whatever it is, but most people don't start events with the mindset of quitting or I'm going to DNF. I mean, they start with the mindset of having a plan and want to follow through and that they definitely want to finish. But there are reasons why we don't finish. And it doesn't mean you're a loser.
It doesn't mean you're a loser. I met a guy when I was doing Rio de Lago. I was at this time I was doing my back to backs, and I caught up to him at mile 25, 26 when we got to Beals Point, and then saw him again coming out of Rattlesnake Bar, and he kept coming up behind me and passing me, but he was running really fast. Well, I got at the point of talking to him, so this kind of goes along with what you were just saying. He hadn't run more than 5 miles. His buddies bet him he couldn't run 100. But he did.
Ouch.
Yeah, he made it 50. But, it's a true mindset. I think my DNFs are because I was broken. But
Well, and
I love your take on that. I really love that a lot. What a great perspective.
thank you. I like it.
for
I like,
sure.
it makes me feel better. That's for sure.
So when we were chatting before we started recording, you brought up a club that we're in. Is it a club? Is it a what was it you were saying? I
You
love it.
know, it's during COVID, I started a Facebook page called Younger by Tomorrow. And I was teaching like doing free Zoom classes because I teach functional fitness classes. And I just came up with the Younger by Tomorrow. There's a book out and I can't even remember the name of it, but I thought like we can be younger by tomorrow. Like you don't have to give in to always saying, I'm getting older, I'm getting older. Well, I'm getting older and I can't do that anymore because I'm getting older. And I thought like, let's just be younger. Let's be, younger by tomorrow and act that way.
I know.
As of course, we're all aging, every single one of us. Every minute we're a minute older, but you
Every
don't
second we're a second
every
older.
yes,
We're
every
always
second,
changing.
forever changing, always
Yeah.
evolving, forever changing. And I kept hearing that, well, I used to do this. And not just sport, in life in general. I used to play the piano. Well, I used to play the saxophone, or I used to run this, or I used to do that. And I'd be like, well, why aren't you doing it anymore? Do you enjoy it? Yeah, I enjoy it, but well, why aren't you doing it anymore? And it just came down to, well, I'm too old to do that now, or I don't have time to do that anymore. And I thought, well, if it's something we really enjoy, we're going to find a way to do it.
Keep doing it. Yeah.
To keep doing it, it just has to be in maybe a different perspective.
Well, my mother was that mindset. She was 40, but she acted like she was 85. And she had the mindset, well, we can't, I'm too old now. You don't do those things because you're going to hurt yourself. So don't do anything. I mean, she used to get on my brother for running. She was afraid of him getting hurt, but she was very, very old mindset of you can't do more because you're old now and now we have to stop. You pretty much you're just sitting there waiting to die. But that's kind of I fought that as a kid. I'm like, no, there's more fun out there. We have to have a good time. We have to have, and now even so, I'm older than you, Missy. Um, I'm I'm intrigued. I'm curious because I never was in track or never had any running skills until somebody talked me into doing a marathon. Then someone talked me into a 50. Then someone talked me into a 100 miler. And then I met in a two. um, but I never learned how to actually run the style, the form, all that stuff. I never was in track. I never did that stuff. We just go run. And there's a lot of people now that do that. They just, oh, I'm going to go run a marathon and we don't know how to run. But I believe though the attitude behind it and the curiosity, if we can hold on to the curiosity of what's next. And that I believe keeps us young at heart, keeps me
Yeah,
going.
yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. It is such an attitude. I mean, we can control our actions and our attitude. And they both go hand in hand and side to side. But I choose, to try to live, wake up, nothing hurts, nothing, you know what I mean? Like live in a way that I can still do the things that I love to do,
Right,
but I've had to accept that they might not be the same.
right.
Like, oh, can I go run Badwater again? Absolutely, I could go run Badwater again. Could I make the cutoffs? I don't know. I'd have to really work hard to make the cutoffs, but do I want to? No. So I've made a decision that, I don't really need to go do that again. But it's not, if I wanted to, I could. If I wanted to go do that, I could. There's other things to do. We all slow down.
Yep.
You can't keep, it's just the way it goes for every one of us. Not one of us is left behind with, as we age, we slow down. but with it comes acceptance that you're going to slow down,
Yep.
but you can still do what you love to do.
Right.
And I think it's an important thing for people to really, not even a thing, but part of our journey, part of your growth and wisdom as you age is to accept that we are all changing all the time and that you can change right along with it.
Right.
I
And
have people who just flat out, oh, I can't run anymore. It's like, of course you can run. What do you mean you can't run? Well, I'm too slow. So what? Can you run? Yeah, but I'm too slow. I said, well, what is that supposed to mean? Slow is running. Are your feet coming off the ground and you're moving forward? Yes. Well, then you're running. But I'm slow. He said, so? I mean, it's just one of those things, back and forth, back and forth. Well, you know what? We're all going to lose the fast. You're going as fast as you can for today.
Right. And you know what? Maybe it's a lot more fun to slow down. Then you kind of enjoy where you're at. You can see more because you're not so worried about going so fast and beating everybody.
You're absolutely
You have
right.
the the
You're
opportunity.
so right about that. It's amazing what you see when you slow down.
I know. So, like I said, I never grew up running. I didn't do all this. And I actually got into Boston one year and I went to Phoenix to see Paul. And there was a Lost Dutchman marathon. And I signed up for it for training for Boston. And James took me to the start. It was hilarious. They had these little fire pits that everybody sat around because it was so cold. I believe it was in February in Phoenix. And then I run the race. And James was going to go to the finish and kind of run back with me. No, James didn't run it. But oh no, he didn't. So he went back and he was running back with me, running back to see me. And I'm chatting with all these people. There was a section that was an out and back, and he's like, "How do you know all these people?" I said, "Well, along the course, I start chatting. I make contacts with people. It's fun." He goes, "I never meet anybody." I said, "Because you're up there in the front, all by yourself. You're too fast. Slow down like your aunt."
That's
So
the best way to meet people is in the back.
I know.
I mean, I actually love being back there now. I don't even enter races really anymore, but it's one of those things where, you know, I just, you just enjoy the people
Right.
and enjoy, I love going on some of my runs, run walk is what I'm mostly doing now. But I'm like, wow, I never saw that house before. It's only been here for 50 years, because I'm slowed down where I can actually see things. That's,
And it's a great perspective in life too. And I've done that with a workshop that I do. I was like, how many times have you left your house and you notice the house across the street from you or the tree that's in their yard or just general in life? What are we really paying attention to? Where's our head at? What are we thinking?
hmm
Where's our thought? We're so lost up in our head, we don't even know what's around us. Just take a minute and look at outside your door. Just right here, we have so much that we haven't even seen.
very, very true.
So are you are you entering any races? Are you
No, well, I should say I'm probably going to enter the Snow Peak 50, which is in June, mostly to hike it. I mean, I don't know if I can even make the cutoffs, but just to hike it and support my friend John's race. It's in Utah, and I have some students that are going to go do it. So I'm going to sign up, but I have not entered a race in a long time.
yeah.
I will probably sign up for Route 66, but that will be to guide my student, Aaron Hale, who's blind, but I just don't have any desire to race anymore.
Sure.
I love, I just love doing my own things now.
Yeah.
But I sure appreciate why people do want to enter races. And boy, you have to enter them really quickly now because they sell out fast, right? You used to just be able to show up and sign up.
The two small races that I do now is Stagecoach 100 and Route 66.
Oh, good for you. I'm so glad you're going back.
Yeah, I signed right back up, and I was so impressed with the whole thing. I was
Yeah, I
just
mean, I was so impressed with the whole thing too. Although I didn't do the race, I was at the race, and very impressed with it. I mean, it's a lot of work to be a race director. Jay and I were race directors for 10 years, and it's a lot of work. Marshall and Heather put their heart and soul into that race, and it's starting to catch on.
yeah,
And and it takes time.
yeah,
It takes time when you're putting on something of that magnitude
right.
to catch on, and it will.
And
Yeah.
they were just beautiful race directors,
Oh
and
yeah,
yeah, you knew their heart in there.
absolutely.
So that was just a really neat, for me, a really neat thing to be a part of. I had met Marshall only one time. It was the first time. Hmm, was it the Keys 100 or was it Badwater? May have been Badwater. That was brand new. I mean, Natu and I only knew each other for a couple months.
I don't know if Marshall's ever run the Keys.
Okay, then it was
But we
Badwater.
certainly know he's run Badwater. I
Yeah.
mean,
We were in
he
this small room, and maybe it was Badwater. I was crewing the two, and I decided that, if the relationship's going to happen, this will be the telltale sign.
mm-hmm. That's perfect way to tell.
That was like 17 years ago.
That is so great.
Yeah, yeah. So have you written any books?
I have not written any books. I'm always starting one. It's been about, I don't know, 16 years starting one.
Oh,
But then I
good.
think like, who'd want to read it? I
All of
think
us.
I told a friend of mine yesterday and a student of mine that I found out he has 5 books he's written. I had no idea. Like, my God. And I said, I've been writing one for like 15 years. I said, like, if I really wanted to do it, I would do it.
Right.
It's kind of one of those things where I just put it off, put it off. Do you have time? Of course you have time. You make time. But, there's so many books out there. And I think that who knows? Who knows? How about you?
I have had numerous people tell me I should write a book. Um,
Same.
and I had who was it on my podcast? Was it It was Molly Sheridan, and she did the 777s, and she said she was writing about her journey and going to write another book. I'm like, what an idea! So I said, okay, I can do that. Every morning I just sit down and journal. My
Mm-hmm.
journey is getting to the Cocodona 250. And let's write about that. But then it's really kind of a cool experience when we journal. Other things come up. And I've even had little things I've talked about in there. I was like, well, this could be a chapter. This is the title of this chapter, or how I can bring in, how I started running. I was a cyclist. I loved that. And then my Western State story. I mean, there's other stuff we can pull together. And I think the art of pulling a book together, I think is really kind of a interesting process, and probably even a personal learning about myself and writing.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Good.
We'll
Good for
see.
you. I really believe everybody has a book in them. Everybody's got a story to tell or
Right.
stories to tell and has some wisdom to offer. And my gosh, I can't believe how many of my students have written books. Like, Coach, when are you going to write a book? I'm like, oh, it's like I really enjoy reading theirs. I really enjoy, like, Grant's book just came out. Grant's book was incredible. I don't know if you've read David Green's book that just came out. It's I'm like, wow, my students are all writing books, but I don't have a book. And then I thought, like, I don't really need a book. Then you think, oh yeah, well, you should write a book. So it's kind of one of those things. So I'm really excited that you're doing it.
I'm excited. I'm doing it too.
Well, that's what counts the most. I think being excited. If I was super excited about it, I'd probably do it.
Yeah. So are your students are these people who are runners and you're coaching them, or what do you
Yeah,
classify
yeah,
them?
yeah. I actually call my people I coach, my students. I think, I don't know, we're all students in life.
Yeah. How long have you been doing that?
I have been coaching for over 40 years.
Nice.
Yeah, long time.
Long time. How did you get into doing that? How did you get into coaching?
I got into coaching ever since college. I coached cross country and track, swimming and diving, and I it evolved. I love coaching. I started out in nursing, and I realized that I wanted to help people in a different way,
Yeah.
So there was a lot of coaching in person, a lot of personal training in person. And then when the computer came around, I really believe I was one of the first online coaches. I don't know that for sure, but I believe that I think I was, where the online coaching really took off. It's still, 90% of my students are online.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of online coaching, but I also do, in person here where I live with groups, or, like I said, teach classes. So it's kind of all encompassing. I'm not just an ultra running coach. I love coaching, triathletes and people who want to lose weight, like Tara. There's all kinds of people, all
Yeah.
kinds of coaching. I'm not just like one kind of coach.
Right.
Um, and like you, my style of coaching is very unique. It's very old school,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not changing it just to fit in with the new coaches. Like I coach the way I coach. I love the way I coach because it works. It works for me, but it also works for those I coach. Um, and it doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
And there's so many coaches now, right?
I know.
It's amazing. Like every day there's a new coach, which is great,
Right.
And how, I think coaches need coaches.
And my world, though, I'm more in the mental fitness part of it, the mindset
Hmm.
part of it.
Which is a huge part of it.
It's a huge part of it. I don't know how many people when I first started doing this, it's like how many people did I come across that were just so high anxiety and they used running just to get de-stressed,
Hmm.
but then they go right back into high anxiety and the stress. It's just, at least they're running to get out of that, but it's still, it's not a good place to be.
It's not a good place to
It's
be.
not a good place to be. I was really impressed with Tara because that's where I heard her story. Heather really shined her, put her on the spotlight, and just really gave her I think she got an award. But just losing all the weight she lost, it's like, wow, good for her. I mean, to me, that's super inspiring.
Really inspiring. I mean, she has been through a lot.
Yeah,
She has been through a lot, and she's also, a counselor, and she's, we all go through struggles, and she, up and down, but this time she's up and she's staying up, and it's working for her.
yeah, that's
She's the
awesome.
one doing the work. I say, geez, a coach gets like 5% of the credit. It's the student who has to do the work.
Right.
And it usually works if you do it.
Well, that's a blessing for both of us is that we are able to see into other people and help them on their journey, and it's them that has to make that choice to step onto that journey and
They
make that
step
change.
on, we help their journey, but they're also helping ours.
Yeah, it's true. Our little passion on inspiring other people. That's very cool. So what's next for you? You're gonna do this, you said 25 miler?
It's 50 miles. I haven't even signed up yet. The Snow Peak 50. It's
Oh,
in Utah. It's a
50.
mountain race. Um, so we'll see. But I will be in Death Valley crewing for Bob Becker, who's also my student.
Oh,
You know,
he is gonna get in. We'll see you in Badwater.
he did get in. Yes, he did get in. And so I've been coaching Bob. It'll be 20 years now.
Yeah.
20,
Um,
and it's amazing. So he asked me to be his crew chief. I
nice.
swore I was not going back to Badwater this year. at all to crew or do anything to have somewhere different to go in July. But how could I even turn that down?
Nice. Our runner from 2 years ago, first Badwater, is in this year. We're going to crew him again.
Oh, good.
So we'll get to see you there.
Ah, that's fantastic. Yes, I'm excited for Bob. It won't be easy, that's for sure. It's not ever easy for anybody. And it just, it's an honor, a real honor to, coach somebody for 20 years. I met Bob Becker 20 years ago.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. And so it's we're kind of glued at the hip, but it's not like you don't. Sometimes you coach people for one event or one race or one challenge, and sometimes you coach them for life.
Right. So I saw he looked great at Route 66.
Didn't he?
He
Oh,
did really, really well. He was planning on some 60 hours and he came in and 40 something. Was it 40 something?
yeah, 40
And we
something.
were at the finish with him and he looked amazing. He even slept
Yep.
and he just really looked amazing. So I think Nachu was asking him, but he didn't know what he told us. He had to ask his coach if he could do Badwater because we had the invite from Martin, and so we'll be there with Martin.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Very cool.
Well, like anybody, Bob had to qualify to get in. I mean, there's no guarantee you're going to get in. So he's
Right.
gotten accepted and he's training very hard right now. And we
He has a
just
great coach and
take it as it comes.
oh,
I'm definitely a great coach for Bob, and he's a great student. Not only that, he's a lifetime friend at this point.
right.
He's part of my family.
Right. I first met him when Nachu did his third Badwater. That's when my first experience of Badwater, and Bob Becker was one of the crew people.
Mm-hmm.
And I met him and Doc and I'm not remembering the other guy's name. But yeah, that was and yeah, it's been fun to see him ever since. It was super fun to see him at Route 66. So
Yeah,
yeah.
good.
Yeah. Well, the good. We'll see you at Badwater.
You will.
Who else is on
Yay.
the crew?
Vincent, who is Trail Toes, and Marshall and Heather.
Really?
Yep, they were the
Nice.
first ones I thought of. The three of them, really. Bob and Marshall are great friends for many, many years, and of course Heather. And Vincent is somebody who has crewed me before, and he's somebody I trust with my life. And I asked him, and he, you know, loves Bob too. How could you not? But
I know, right?
it'll be kind of neat because we're representing like the 60, 70, and 80
Right.
division, right? So between myself and Marshall and Vincent and Heather and then Bob, we were like, we need to add up how many times we either been to Badwater, done the race, crewed the race, worked the race. I mean, it's going to add up to a lot.
It is that. That's a lot of years between cumulative together there. I have never been inspired to run it, but I love crewing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a
Well,
really neat place. Yeah.
maybe if you do the 140 again, then you'll decide that the 135 is 5 miles shorter.
I know. I
Kidding.
did think about that, but different elements.
I know, but there's no doubt in my mind that you would be very successful at Badwater.
Right. Yeah. I would have a good crew too.
Of
Natu is
course you would.
amazing.
Of course he is. We would expect nothing different.
Yeah, so he was so cute at the Route 66 because we had a couple of new people that didn't know how to crew. So he was a senior. But
Well, he's a teacher.
right, right. So my goodness, Lisa, thank you so much. Um, what wisdom can you share with our listeners?
Boy, that is a big question. A big question right there. I can share a little wisdom that don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone, and don't be afraid to try.
Yep.
We always say, you got to try. And when you aren't successful, that's where the real learning comes in. And it's not a DNF, it's a maybe a, make the right choice, but don't not try.
Yeah.
Like, get out there, and it doesn't mean just because I've done something doesn't mean you can't do it. You can do anything I've done. They can do anything you've done. There's really, like, people are so incredibly capable. Our
Yep.
bodies are magnificent masterpieces,
Exactly. I love
and
that.
they are meant to be challenged,
Yep.
physically, mentally, spiritually, in all kinds of ways. But put yourself out there and think of something that would challenge you
Yep.
and go for it.
Yeah, and when you can step out of that sense of fear, of being afraid, just do it. It's amazing what we learn about ourselves.
Yep. Fear is very sabotaging.
It certainly
It's
is.
very sabotaging. I mean, I take it on, fear is your friend. It's good when you fear something. That means you might move into it cautiously, carefully, but don't let it hold you back.
Right, right, right,
Let
right,
it help you propel you forward.
right. So with that, it's no matter, I want to add that no matter what age you are. I met a woman who was 60 who ran her first half marathon. It does not matter what your number is. And
No,
I
definitely doesn't matter what your number is.
and so the other thing too is what I said, our bodies are as a gift that we have, and they're just, it's an incredible machine that wants to continually show up and recover. It wants to
Hmm.
thrive, and it's just amazing what we have.
Well, and that's such a huge part of longevity is
Yeah.
continuing to move. You have to
Yep.
keep moving, stay
Yep.
active, and
Yep.
realize that sure, we're going to slow down, but that's okay.
It's okay. Walking is really kind of fun.
I love walking.
I do too.
I can outwalk most people. It's like, whoa, this is great. Walking and running are different muscle groups, but it's, you don't have to walk, you don't have to run. There's so many things that you can do to be active.
Yes, it's true. I've said this before, but I have a 90, I need to call her because I think she just turned 99, neighbor who walks every single day, except
That's
when it's
fantastic.
raining. But she has to get out every single day.
Well, that's why she's 99.
I know.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's nice you have such a great inspiration.
She was doing that before I lived here.
Right, but now you get to see her and
I
you're like,
know. I
okay.
know. She's like, why am I still here? I'm like, because you're the inspiration of the neighborhood, Marianne. Lisa, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. My
Thank you for,
pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thanks for all you do for everybody.
oh, you're sweet.